The NBA has been around for 75 years, and over that period of time, thousands upon thousands of point guards have come and gone. Furthermore, the point guard position has gone through numerous evolutions over that 75-year period. I mean, it started off with traditional point guards who would facilitate the offense. Then there came the point guards who had handles like never seen before. Then soon after came the point guards who could explode like we've never seen before. And then you had point guards who could shoot from anywhere. Still though, amongst the thousands and thousands of point guards who have come and gone, and through all the evolution that this position went through, there remains one man who is redefining what it means to be a point guard in the modern NBA era. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why Chris Paul is called the point god. According to official definitions, the point guard, also called one or the point, has perhaps the most specialized role of any position. They're expected to run the team's offense by controlling the ball and making sure that it gets to the right player at the right time. In football terms, they're the quarterback, and their primary job is to facilitate scoring by getting the team in the best position to score, while controlling the tempo of the game and understanding everything from the time left on the shot clock, game clock, timeouts remaining for both teams, and the list goes on and on. CP3 does all of these to perfection. I mean, look at his last stats from his 17th season. So far, for the 2022 season, Chris Paul is averaging nearly 15 points a game along with 11 assists. In addition, he's doing it efficiently. I mean, he's shooting the ball at 48.7% from the field and only turning the ball over about 2.4 times per game. That's unheard of for a 6-foot-tall basketball player who's about to turn 37. Now, let's see how he's doing all this. Here's CP3 on the perimeter being guarded by Cam Thomas, who is much younger and athletic. Chris Paul knows that going one-on-one would lower his efficiency, so instead, he waits for Ayton here to set a screen. After Paul uses the screen, he knows there will be a small window of time where he can dish it to Ayton, and that's exactly what he does. Now you have a 6'11" center rolling to the rim, and the person trying to guard him is a 6'3" Cam Thomas. This is what you'd call a high percentage shot.
Come a big part of who he is in his calling card. Paul, what a setup.
Next off, here's CP3 bringing the ball up the court. As he's doing that, you can see him motioning to Ayton to set a screen, and that's to scramble the defense a bit in semi-transition. And look at what that got him. A wide open free throw jumper. That's a high percentage money shot.
The opening quarter, Paul looked at the pass.
When you hear people calling Chris Paul a manipulator, this is what they mean. Chris Paul manipulates the game completely to his advantage. I mean, here's what Damian Lillard had to say about the point guard. Now, it makes sense to me how Chris Paul has been so good for so long, because all he does is manipulate everything to take advantage of something he saw. He calls this play because he knows this team is going to react like this, not just with your defense or offense, with the referees, with everything. Once you start figuring out that stuff, the game gets so much easier and it seems so much slower when you watch teams and recognize their plays and actions and players' tendencies. Players do the exact same things every game. When you notice that, it makes sense how Chris Paul can be his age and be a great point guard. It's funny that Dame Time brought up the fact with the referees because it's true. I mean, check this one out.
Chris Paul arguing with the ref as he's dribbling. Like, come on now, you gotta.
Did y'all see that?
Chris Paul arguing with the ref as he's.
Sheesh, guys. He's setting the tone for refs while he's dribbling. Chris Paul is a basketball genius that understands every rule in the rulebook and more. I mean, hear me out on this one. In 2019, when CP3 was still part of the OKC Thunder, he used his knowledge of the game and did the impossible. So, there was 1.1 seconds left on the clock and Minnesota was up by 2, and Cat was on the free throw line to shoot 2. Well, he missed the first one, then Minnesota decided to sub in Jordan Bell in for rebounding purposes, just in case. Well, when he came into the game, however, his jersey was untucked. Now, CP3 knew that the Timberwolves already had one delay of game, so a second would count as a technical free throw. Well, CP3 told the officials, and as per the rulebook, OKC was awarded with a technical free throw. Because of that, the game was eventually sent into overtime, and the Thunder won that game. Sheesh, guys. Down 2 with 1.1 seconds left in the fourth, and Cat going to the line to shoot 2 free throws. Any other point guard, any coach, any player in the league would have given up on that game and would have looked towards the locker room. But the point guard didn't, and instead, he looked at Jordan Bell's untucked jersey and saw an opportunity to win the game. Oh my goodness, guys. Anyway, let's move on here. Let's just take a look at a few more plays and at how Chris Paul manipulates the game with his basketball IQ. Here he is on the perimeter again, trying to figure out the best shot possible for the possession. He sees a play developing as Biyombo sets a screen for Booker to get open, and Paul understands that's a really great wide open three for Booker, who's been shooting over 40% this season. And that's money. Do you remember that definition of a point guard I talked about earlier, when I said it's their job to get the ball to the person who's in the best position to score? This dude, CP3, does that down to a T. Let's just take one more look here. CP3 is bringing the ball up here. He sees that Korkmaz is defending him, and he knows that he's not an elite defender. So what does CP3 do? Well, first he gets McGee to set up a screen, just to cause a little confusion for Korkmaz. Next, he takes 2 dribbles to the right and stops on a dime and gets a wide open elbow jumper. And CP3 shoots these at about 60%. While most players in the league are playing checkers, this dude is playing chess, and nobody can blame him for it. I mean, why wouldn't you want to put your team in the best position to score every possession? Paul studies and trains really hard on maximizing his chances to win. Here's what Steph Curry, the best shooter in the history of the game, had to say about CP3 and how he helped him during his rookie year in the league. He was a great mentor when it came to understanding how a guy on his level prepared over the summer for an NBA season. How disciplined he was, his work ethic, and I got to see that firsthand after Summer League through the beginning of the season. He demonstrated firsthand what it takes to be great in this league, and it was a nice little eye-opener for me. Anyway, moving on here. The truth is, the point guard makes every team better. I mean, in 2017 in the Western Conference Finals, CP3 and the Rockets were up 3-2 against arguably the greatest team ever built in the history of the NBA, the 2017 Golden State Warriors. If CP3 didn't get his hamstring injury, who knows how that series would have turned out. Then, after a stop in Houston in 2019, the point guard was sent to OKC to a team that was rebuilding. Now, when this trade happened, everyone thought this was CP3's last stop in his NBA journey, to nurture the young guys and to leave the NBA better off. But instead, what did he do? In an absolutely stacked Western Conference, Paul led the rebuilding OKC to the 5th seed in the conference. This was a team that had no business even entering the playoffs, but here they were, right in the mix of everything. But how did he do it? Well, by manipulating the game the best he can, to his advantage.
Paul, the jumper is good.
These 1-5 switches and then that mid-range shot? Man, this is one of the point guard's bread and butter. Anyway, after OKC, look what CP3 did and is still doing in Phoenix. Before his arrival, the Suns missed the playoffs for 10 consecutive years. But after his arrival, they made it to the NBA Finals and were 2 wins away from bringing Phoenix its first NBA championship ever. CP3 is a winner in this league and is the best traditional point guard that the league has seen in at least 2 decades. He may not have won a championship yet, but the way he impacts a game from an IQ standpoint and the way he makes his teammates better speaks volumes, and he rightfully deserves the nickname, the point guard. Anyway, from one point guard to another, have you ever wondered why Stephen Curry is still so dang difficult to guard at almost 34 years old? I mean, he just dropped 50 the other day in the All-Star game, and my goodness guys, this man is taking big athletic ballers to school on a daily basis, and I have the video right here that shows you just how he's doing it. It's a pretty insane video guys, and I'm sure you'll love it. Don't waste any time, click the video, and you know where I'll be, right? On the other side.